I want to emphasize on restriction of access and activity completion. Restriction of access and activity completion. Whenever you want to put any activity in your course page, it is important that you restrict the access. There are various forms of restriction of access. Now, two are very important. The first one is by activity completion, and then the second one is by date. It is always good for you to restrict access to your work even before you save your work. If you save your work when you must have restricted your access, it will be that the children or your students will not look at it. So I will start by adding a lesson note, for example. Then I'll go down straight to restriction of access without going to save and return or save and display. This is very important. I'm going to restrict my access. If you notice, because it is my first time of accessing this course page, Business Studies JS2, you saw that from beginning, you will notice that I have just date, grade, user profile, and restriction set. For some of you who have already had something on their course page, you will see activity completion. We will see that in the next step. So I'm going to use only dates. You can see prevent access until or from a specified date and time. Assuming that this lesson is going to start tomorrow by 12 o'clock, I'm going to set tomorrow is 20 and then 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. I will not stop there. That's the mistake that we make, because you will make your students know what is going to come up next. We are not going to stop there. So you are going to shut the eyes. Shut the eyes. If you shut the eyes, you can see what is written there. Displayed grayed out if user does not meet this condition. Click to hide. Now what will happen if we shut the eyes of this restriction set, the date? What will happen is that the lesson or the activity will not even show up on the course page of the student, not on your own, until that time has reached. So when the student opens up the course page, the student will not see anything. It will be as though you have not come. And that will be very successful if we start implementing it in our online classes. Let not our children assume us. So you can start setting your activities and then shutting these eyes. Shutting the eyes are very important. When you shut that eye, it means that the child will not see that lesson until 12 o'clock. So sometimes they will say that there is no lesson. It means that the child went earlier than that, than the time of the lesson. So date from 20th July 2020, 12 o'clock. That is when it is supposed to show up. Now the next thing that we are going to be looking at is activity completion. After restriction of access, the next thing you're supposed to look at is activity completion. Please always try to use the activity completion to decide how the students complete that activity, how they finish that activity. If you don't do that, the children will jump this activity and go to the next one. So usually you should select the last one, show activity as complete when conditions are met. Show activity as complete when conditions are met. You can see that the option we have here is student must view this activity to complete it. Student must view this activity to complete it. So I'm going to select that. It's already selected. And then this is also an important factor. Expect completed on. Enable it so that it can show up in their calendar. Enable it. Today is 19th day of July, and I want them to complete this activity before Friday the 24th. So I'm going to put 24th here, and I'm going to put midnight of 24. That's 23:59. That's what I'm putting there. So it will show up in their calendar that they are supposed to read this note that you are putting. They're supposed to read this note by July 24th, 11:59 p.m. And by the way to do that is by setting the activity completion. So I'm going to save and return to course. So when I save and return to course, I'm going to add another lesson altogether. No, sorry, another activity. Example, the quiz activity or the assignment activity, so that you will see how to use the other activity completion in the restriction of access. So if you don't understand it, you can still play this video over and over again to understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to click on add an activity. I'm going to select an assignment, assuming I want to give my children assignment. What I want to achieve before I click on add assignment is that I want these children to read the lesson notes I have already put for them before viewing this assignment. If they don't read that note, they cannot view this assignment. That's the essence of this video. So I'm going to click on add and put your assignment name, put the assignment, write the assignment, and choose the availability date, the due date. Please don't enable the cutoff date. And then always remember to change this submission type to online test, and then go straight to add restriction. Don't jump to save and return to course or save and display. That is not right. Always add restriction to your class. So I will click on add restriction. Now you can see that our add restriction has added another option, activity completion. Date, grade, user profile, and restriction set. The most important thing here is the activity completion and then the date. So we are going to first of all click on activity completion, and then we choose lesson notes. That lesson note that we added before now, that is what we are going to choose, must be marked complete. So we are saying that these children or our students are not going to even open this assignment until they must have read that lesson note. That is how to ensure that your children read your notes. That is how to ensure that they see the resources or use the resources that you send to them. So they must view that note before attempting this assignment. So that's a way of putting discipline in your class. And then the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on add restriction again and choose by date. That you have added the other one, that's by activity completion, does not mean you shouldn't also add the date. So when you click on that, you select the date they are supposed to see it. Like I said before, that lesson is supposed to be by tomorrow, for example. It's an example, 9 a.m. So I'm expecting that this assignment, they should also see it from 9 a.m. But because it's an assignment, I'll give them time to read my notes. So they should start assessing the assignment from 9:30 a.m. So that is how to add restrict access when you must have added an activity before. Always link your activities. Don't just run a madhouse by putting activities and then the children can start from anywhere. No, it's not right. When a child gets to your course page, let the child understand that he should start from the previous lessons that you have learned before getting to the last one that you have just entered. So that is how to work with restrict access. You can see that activity completion, and I'm forcing them to read that lesson note, and I'm saying that it must be marked complete. Okay, so, and I also added date, and I did not forget, I'm going to shut the eyes. Always shut the eyes. If you shut the eyes, like I told you, they will not see it until it is time. From this, our date and time, you can see that they cannot see this assignment until it is by 9:30 a.m. on 20th July. 9:30 a.m. on 20th July. Okay, the next thing is activity completion. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Activity completion determines how a child completes this activity. The activity in question now is assignment. assignment. Remember, in the lesson note we chose the last one, so I'm going to click on this and choose the last one still. Show activity as complete when conditions are met. You can notice that this activity is different from the lesson activity, the page activity. This is an assignment activity, so other options has just showed up. So the first one is student must view this activity to complete it, which is general. The second one is student must receive a grade to complete this activity. The third one is student must submit to this activity, and that is the right thing to select. Student must submit to this activity to complete it, and then we are still going to enable this. They should complete that activity before the week end, that is 24th July, and I'm still going to put 23:59. So that is how to use activity completion. Always set the activity completion in your activities. If you do not do that, it means that you are running a madhouse in your course page, and when a child gets there, the child can just choose to do anything and anyhow. Thank you very much for listening. So when you are done, you click on save and return to course. Save and return to course. So with that, you can see that we have this grayed out, lesson note on restriction of access, assignment on activity completion. So you can see the various restrictions that you have put. This is restricted. It has to be available from 20th July 2020. Else it is hidden otherwise. And we also have this, it is after 20th July 2020, 9:30 a.m. Else it is hidden. Okay, so let me show you how your students are going to view this course page. Now, as a teacher and a supervisor or a manager, you can see exactly what you have done, but change your role as a student to check exactly how the children will see it. So changing it to student role, you can see that nothing is there. Nothing is there. It's amazing. Nothing is there. If you change the date and time of your phone to the date here, you can see that those things will appear. So switching back as a normal mode, you will see that your work is still there. You didn't lose anything. And that is about restriction of access and activity completion. Thank you for listening.